You know, I used to think the suburban dream was a white picket fence. Turns out, it's just having neighbors who mind their own business. I live in a community called Harmony Meadows. It sounds peaceful, right? Like a place where bluebirds help with the laundry and the biggest decision of your day is what to grill for dinner. And for the first 6 months, it was. The lawns were green, kids rode their bikes in the street, and there was this general sense of calm. But I was naive. I hadn't yet met the dragon guarding the gates of this manufactured paradise. I hadn't met Carol. The HOA welcome packet was 300 pages long. I should have known right from page 1, which was just a single sentence in a 72-point font that said, "We are watching," that I'd moved into a special kind of hell. Carol wasn't just on the Homeowners Association board. She was the board. She was the self-appointed guardian of Harmony Meadows' beige-colored soul. Her official title was president, but we all just called her the overseer. Usually under our breath, my downfall started with a gnome, a cheerful little guy, about a foot tall, with a pointy red hat and a tiny fishing rod. I named him Sherlock Gnomes. I put him next to my prize-winning petunias, thinking he added a little touch of whimsy. I was wrong. Apparently, in Harmony Meadows, whimsy is a Class B violation. Not even 24 hours after Sherlock took his post, Carol just materialized on my lawn. She didn't walk, she just sort of appeared, like a glitch in the Matrix, clutching a clipboard to her chest like a holy text. "Afternoon," she said, her voice completely missing any actual harmony. She pointed a trembling, accusatory finger at my gnome. "What is that?" "That's Sherlock," I said, kind of proud. "He's a gnome." "It's an unapproved lawn ornamentation," she snapped, already scribbling furiously on her clipboard. "Section C, paragraph 4 of the bylaws. All lawn decorations must maintain aesthetic uniformity and be pre-approved by the Architectural Review Committee." "Which is you, right?" I asked. "Of course," she said, not even looking up. "That'll be a $25 fine. You have 7 days to pay up and remove the offending item." She ripped the sheet off her clipboard and shoved it at me. It felt like I was being served a subpoena. And just like that, she was gone, leaving only the smell of hairspray and righteous indignation. I looked at Sherlock. He looked back, his painted-on smile now seeming less cheerful and more defiant. The war had begun, so I paid the fine. But I didn't remove Sherlock. Instead, I gave him a friend, a lady gnome with a little basket of flowers. I called her Joan Watson. The very next day, a $50 fine appeared on my door. The infraction? Willful and repeated defiance of aesthetic uniformity. It came with a passive-aggressive letter, all in caps about cohesion and property values. That's when my next-door neighbor, Dave, got involved. Dave's a retired mechanic with a deep, deep appreciation for chaos. He'd seen the whole thing from his window. That afternoon, a single gloriously tacky, bright pink plastic flamingo appeared on his lawn. Carol's response was swift and apocalyptic. A mass email went out to the entire neighborhood. Subject line: "An urgent memorandum regarding lawn integrity." It was a rambling, 2,000-word manifesto on the dangers of aesthetic terrorism and how lawn ornaments are a gateway to societal collapse. It was magnificent. This, however, was a huge mistake on her part. She thought she was crushing a rebellion. What she really did was recruit an army. That email woke everyone up. People I'd only ever waved to started stopping me on the street. "Did you see that email?" they'd whisper. "Is it true she fined you for a gnome?" Within a week, the Gnome Liberation Front was born. It started small. Mrs. Gable, the sweet old lady across the street, put out a gnome dressed like a tiny revolutionary, holding a sign that said, "Give me liberty or give me death." The new couple at the end of the block added a whole family of gnomes having a barbecue. Soon, our street looked less like Harmony Meadows and more like a gnome-themed amusement park. Carol was losing her mind. The fines came daily, each one more unhinged than the last. She started citing violations that had to be made up. Improper blade height on perennial fescue, non-compliant curvature of driveway edging, and my personal favorite, excessive cheerfulness. She started patrolling at dawn with a ruler and a paint swatch book, literally measuring grass and comparing mailbox colors. The peak came on a Tuesday night. My security camera sent an alert to my phone. I opened the feed and saw Carol, dressed head to toe in black, army crawling across my lawn. She was trying to gnome nap Sherlock, but she didn't count on my sprinklers, which were on a timer. The footage was priceless. The sudden spray of water, her shriek, the slip, and the graceless fall into a very large rose bush. I saved the video. I sent it to the neighborhood group chat. It was our shot heard round the world. For a week we went quiet. We took down the gnomes. We mowed our lawns to the precise millimeter. We let Carol think she'd won. She walked around with this insufferable smirk, the victorious tyrant. She called the annual HOA meeting, no doubt to gloat and unveil a new set of even more insane rules. The meeting was in the community clubhouse. Carol stood at the podium basking in what she thought was her restored authority. "As you all know," she began, "there has been a recent lapse in our community standards. Therefore, I am proposing Bylaw 27B, a complete and total ban on any and all lawn ornamentation, effective immediately." A murmur went through the crowd. This was it. That's when Mrs. Gable stood up. See, what Carol didn't know was that Mrs. Gable wasn't just a sweet old lady who baked amazing cookies. She was a retired contract lawyer. "Carol," she said, her voice calm but firm, "I have a few questions about procedure. According to the HOA charter, any new bylaw proposal needs 30 days written notice to all homeowners. This meeting was announced 6 days ago. Is that right?" Carol sputtered. "It was an emergency measure." "An emergency?" Mrs. Gable pressed. "An imminent threat to property or person? Or is the emergency a difference in decorative taste?" Before Carol could answer, I stepped forward. "Speaking of threats to property," I said, and with one click of a button, the video from my security camera filled the projector screen behind her. The room was silent for a second. Then it erupted. First chuckles, then outright roars of laughter. There she was, for everyone to see, the president of the HOA, flailing in a rose bush after a failed gnome napping. Carol's face went from beige to a shade of crimson I have never seen before or since. She was speechless. But we weren't done. Dave stood up next, holding a folder. "And while we're on the topic of bylaws," he said cheerfully, "I'd like to bring up Section F, Paragraph 12, the one you wrote last year, Carol. All external technological apparatuses must not exceed 18 inches in diameter and must be hidden from street view." He pulled out a large, glossy photo. "Funny thing. I was on my roof cleaning the gutters this morning and got this lovely shot of the massive 36-inch satellite dish you have tucked behind your chimney." Checkmate. She was caught in her own trap of ridiculous rules. The hypocrisy was just too much. That feeling in the room was electric. It was the moment everyone realized the power was theirs all along. You know that rush you get when the little guy finally wins? If you love stories about communities coming together to get some satisfying justice, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because we've got plenty more where that came from. A vote of no confidence was called right then and there. It was nearly unanimous. Carol was stripped of her title, her clipboard, and her power. She didn't even stay for the rest of the meeting. The next day, a "for sale" sign popped up on her perfectly manicured, aesthetically uniform lawn. Harmony Meadows is different now. It's better. Sherlock Gnomes is back by the petunias, but this time he's wearing a tiny hand-knitted presidential sash. Mrs. Gable has a small, entirely unapproved but utterly delightful vegetable garden in her front yard. And Dave's flamingo? It now has a whole flock. Our street is this vibrant mix of gnomes, plastic birds, quirky mailboxes, and wind chimes. It's definitely not uniform anymore. It's something much better than that. It's a neighborhood. We still have an HOA, but now it's run by people who get that a community isn't about enforcing hundreds of soul-crushing rules. It's about the people who live there in all their weird, wonderful, whimsical glory. And honestly, the property values have never been higher.